Hey guys, it's Charlene. Today I want to do a story time about the reasons why I stopped liking school. It's just, some people are just beyond me. I don't understand people. Okay. So I think I was in first grade, so I was 6 or 7 years old. That particular day we had a substitute. I don't remember her last name, but I remember her first name was Ella. Ella something. And she was the meanest person ever. I mean, I've had some pretty bad substitute teachers that are really, really rude or really mean to people, and that particular teacher was just so mean. She was so rude. She didn't people are can I use the restroom? She's no, sit down, do your work. We'll take a bathroom break in 15 minutes. It's really, you're gonna let her sit there and hold her pee for another 15 minutes? For another 15 minutes. So I was okay, whatever. So I'm sitting there doing my work, and then pretty soon it's lunchtime. We line up, we go to the cafeteria, everybody gets in line, gives find their ID card, which was in a little filing case that they had there at the cafeteria. You would just find your card and then give it to the lunch lady when you got by where the register was, and you would pick your food. I think it was always 2 types of food, and then you pick your milk or juice. We got seated, because then we would actually have to be seated with our own class. We couldn't sit separate with your friends. You had to be seated with the class that you came in with. So I sat down. It was pizza and green beans with these little bacon bits in it. It was gross. I was I don't want to eat this. But I opened my milk, and this is the reasons why I don't like milk. I hate milk because of this reason. The only milk I will drink is probably chocolate milk, and that's it. God, I'm the only one awake, and every time I film I hear stuff in our apartment. It's so creepy. Earlier I heard somebody walking around, and I was putting my lashes on by the mirror. And there's nobody awake, so I shouldn't be hearing anybody walk around, but there was somebody or something walking around the house. But anyways, back to my story. The only milk I will drink is chocolate milk. That's it. I won't even attempt to buy a milk. If I'm thirsty, I wouldn't go to the store and be oh, I want a chocolate milk. No, I will not buy milk at all. For cereal in the morning, or whenever we have cereal, I'll eat cereal with regular milk, but I will not drink the milk for these particular reasons. So, like I was saying, this substitute teacher had the nerve. Let's backtrack a little bit. Okay, so where I went to school, it's on the reservation. There's not many other ethnicities of other kids. This particular story, this particular day, there is a Caucasian student. He's maybe three or four students, so he's 1 out of 4 of the students that were going to school there that were white. And we noticed he wasn't feeling good already. He was I want to go to the nurse, and then his teacher was no, you gotta stay there, you gotta finish your lunch, and then after recess you can go. And I was that's another 45 minutes from now. But I was a kid that would say all these things in my head, but I would not say it out loud because it was none of my business. And I'm still like that, unless it's really, really wrong, and then I'll say something. But this kid was not feeling well at all, and you can tell he was forcing himself to eat. And he ate most of his food, and then all of a sudden you hear him gagging, and then just projectile vomit just coming out of this little kid. And I was oh my god, that's so gross. And there's so many other kids. I mean, the cafeteria was full. And if anybody knows what school I'm talking about because of where I'm from, and that they know who I am and where I live, this particular school was full then. Now there's probably 100 student goes there, 100 students in total. But then it was maybe 500-600 students in all grades included, all combined. It was probably 500 or 600 students. And now today it's 100 students in all. But, this kid is throwing up so bad, and I was like, I don't want to sit here. I'm trying to eat my lunch, and I gotta hear this kid barf, let alone smell it, and then try to pretend like he's not there. Try to pretend like he's not throwing up right next to where I'm eating. So I get up, and I want to move, and this teacher has the nerve to put her hands on me, grab my shirt like this, and like yank me back in my seat. She's like, I didn't tell you to move. And I was like, I just looked at her like, really? Did you just touch me? And I didn't have nothing to say because I was so young. But now, if somebody were to do that to me, like, I don't know you. You have no right. If that is not your child, it is not your right to yank any child or push them down. And she grabbed my shirt, she jerked me back into my seat, and she's like, I didn't tell you to move. You're not going anywhere. You're not even done with your lunch. I was like, how am I supposed to eat? He's throwing up right there. And she was like, well, you need to finish your food. Open your milk. You need to drink your milk. And like, I did not want to drink the milk so bad. Like, I opened it and it tasted so weird. It was like slushy. It felt slushy, but it was just disgusting. It was thick, and it was so gross. I want to throw up just talking about it now. And this is when I was like 6 years old. And this lady is yelling at me, telling me that I need to drink my milk. And I'm like on the verge of tears, trying not to cry. And she's yelling at me in front of the rest of the cafeteria. And I'm sitting there like, really? You're gonna yell at me for trying to move away from somebody that's barfing in the middle of the cafeteria? In the middle, where everybody else is eating. If this kid has food poisoning or the stomach flu, do you know how contagious that is now? Like, really? Okay, I don't understand people. Like, the common sense that people are born with, where the fuck does it go? But this lady I did not want to be at school for the rest of the day. I was quiet in class. Like, I went to recess after the cafeteria incident. I went to recess. I think we went to the library. Like, everywhere I went that day, I was so quiet. I didn't talk to nobody. I was just, like, so sad because I didn't understand, like, why my mom didn't treat me that way. My grandparents, my aunts and uncles, nobody treats me that way in my own home. Like, I didn't understand, like, why did she do that to me? Like, I didn't understand that. I remember my mom picking me up from school, and she was just looking at me like, what's wrong? And I was like, nothing's wrong, because my mom is so overprotective. She's been so overprotective of me because then I was like the only child. And she was just looking at me like, something's wrong. What is wrong? And I was like, nothing's wrong. I just want to go home. Like, that's all I said to her. And like later on in the evening, she was like, what happened at school today? How come when I picked you up, you weren't talking, you weren't happy, you weren't laughing and telling me about your day like you usually are? And I told her about the substitute teacher, but I didn't want to tell her about what she did to me. And then pretty soon she started getting mad at me because she's like, I don't want anybody hurting you. Like, I don't treat you that way, so why should other people be able to treat you that way? So I was like, okay. So I told her what happened. I told her that what she, like, about the kid throwing up, and that I wanted to move because it was making me sick. And he's like, just puking right there. It's just coming out, and I did not want to be right there. He's like 2 seats away from me. I could smell it. And the fact that she forced me to eat my food and drink spoiled milk. And then she has the audacity to pull my shirt and yank me back into my seat. My mom was so furious. But I waited as long as I could until I knew the school was closed so she wouldn't go back there. We got up so early the next morning. She was so mad still. And we went to the school probably like at 6:45, 7 o'clock in the morning the next day. And she called my regular teacher, which was there that day. Yeah, it was the substitute, my own teacher, the vice principal, and the principal. But she was so upset. Like, she called this meeting, like, she didn't care. I mean, the principal, the vice principal, the teacher, my own teacher, like, everybody was just like not prepared for this. Like, my mom was so upset. Like, they were like, oh, I'm busy, I have a meeting today, I can't do this right now, we're gonna have to reschedule. And my mom was so upset. She was like, no. She was like, I want this meeting done, I want it now. Because this lady has no right touching my child, let alone gave her something that's not good. It's expired. And they were like, how do you know it's expired? How do you know it's expired? So my mom told them, go check the freezer. Go check wherever you store your milk and check those dates. Because my daughter doesn't feel well today because the fact that that teacher forced her to drink spoiled milk. And again, constantly, how do you know the milk is spoiled? So my mom told them, go check the milk. So they did. There was like 2 or 3 cases of spoiled milk in their cooler. 2 or 3 cases. And everybody knows that elementary schools, they're like the little cartons there. And 2 or 3 crates of that is probably like 50 milk per carton. Like, per crate. 50. At least 50. So that's enough milk to serve like the whole cafeteria. And this particular teacher has to force me to drink spoiled milk. Who knows how much milk was spoiled before we even realized, before she even forced me to drink it. And maybe this kid was sick because they forced him to drink the spoiled milk. Like, we don't know what happened. But my mom was so angry. I mean, within the time period that I was at that school, eventually that principal got fired, the vice principal transferred, the substitute teacher that forced me to do all these things and put her hands on me when she had no right at all, got fired. And my own teacher, I think her name was Miss Johnson, I think that was her name, but she was like trying to cover up, like, oh, she's a nice lady, I don't think she would do something like that. My mom was like, my daughter does not lie. And it's true, because then I was so obedient. Like, I did not want to lie, I didn't want to get anybody in trouble, I didn't want to be like, oh, this person said this person said that, and then it comes back at me and I get in trouble. Like, I was that kid that was always honest and open and made sure, like, if I was told to clean the dishes or sweep the floor or put away my laundry or clean up my room, like, I would do it because I didn't want to get in trouble. Like, I was that good kid. And for somebody like that to put their hands on me and hurt, it was just like so confusing to me, because my mom didn't spank us growing up. Like, she would lecture us and yell at us and tell us right from wrong, but she would never spank us. And that's what was so confusing to me, that this lady put her hands on me. Like, that's never happened to me before. But the moral of the story is, it's the littlest things and the littlest people can ruin and destroy your kid's future. Because, I mean, I loved school. I loved going to school. And then this particular teacher is the reason why I didn't want to go to school anymore. Like, I would cry on most days the rest of my first grade year because I didn't want to go back to school because of her. And throughout my whole education, I just, that particular incident kind of separated me from the education that I really wanted to earn, really wanted to get. But this particular incident really separated me from that. But just be aware of people that are like this. I mean, it's not only students that bully kids, it's teachers and principals, higher officials that have the ability to say things to your kids and hurt them during the day. I mean, there's so many parents that don't believe in spanking, so many parents that have so much love and care for their own children, but don't let anybody ruin their education. If somebody hurts them, bullies them, address it right away. Don't think that the teacher or the principal is gonna like fix it for you. Sometimes you need to take time out of your own day and go see what your kids are doing, whether it's just a 15-minute walk-in to check on them in their class, eat with them at lunch. Just do something to know that your kids are safe at their school. Because my mom did something for me, and I would hope that every other parent, because I don't have kids, but I have siblings that are a lot younger than I am, and I help raise them. And I just hope that everybody else that has young kids, especially like kindergarten, first grade, second grade, that their parents will actually take the time out of their own day and make sure that they're being treated well, because nobody deserves to be force-fed or bullied by anybody. It's wrong. But I hope you guys like this story. Don't forget to subscribe, and thank you so much for watching. Always thank you. I mean, like I said before, 1 viewer, 2 viewers, 25 viewers. It just means so much to me to know that people are watching my videos. And please don't forget to subscribe. Thanks. Bye.